Everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm so excited to be jumping on here with you for a cup of coffee with Kristin. Oh, look, I have a different Bucky's cup today. Ooh, isn't that awesome? All right. So, happy Wednesday. So excited to be jumping on here with you. Remember, every Wednesday, we're going to be jumping in for a cup of coffee with Kristin, and we're going to be getting our caffeine fix and our Jeep knowledge fix on together every Wednesday. So excited to be jumping on here with you. All right. So for today, again, I try to keep our cup of coffees as short as possible. About 30 minutes is my goal because I'm thinking of this is our midday coffee, well, midday coffee break together. So try to keep everything about 30 minutes and we dive in for one specific topic that we're going to dive into together for every Wednesday for a cup of coffee. So we're going to be diving into our part 2 of disconnecting our sway bars, going over how to disconnect our sway bars today. Hello, Pat, Sonia, Shay. Hello. Oh, hello from your kitchen in New York at lunchtime. I love that. Woohoo. Love it so much, Shay. All right, ladies, I'm excited to be jumping on here with you today to be diving into our sway bars again. Woo, excited. Hopefully, you have your cup of coffee or favorite drink for our break together. Again, I'm going to try to keep it super short. So I'm looking at 30 minutes or less. So we're going to dive right in and get started for today. Don't forget, you can catch the replay right back here. All you have to do is scroll down and find the replay if you need to. And if you missed part 1 of our disconnecting your sway bars, once we finish today, scroll back down and you can check it out so you don't miss anything. All right, so we're going to jump in, get started for today. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week. I hope you've had a great start to the last month of the year. Oh my goodness, that is just so exciting. I cannot believe everything has gone by so fast. It is amazing. All right, so I hope everyone is having a fantastic week. Hope this helps to break up that midweek slump just a little bit. All right, let me share my screen and we're going to jump in and get started. Super excited for today. All right. So, first of all, welcome to our cup of coffee with Kristin. Woohoo! I have my new Bucky's cup going on here. I am small in the corner. I know because I want to make sure you can see the slides for this in the video. Sonia had a busy month. Oh my goodness. All right, ladies. First of all, welcome to Cup of Coffee with Kristin. We have been focusing on sway bars. We started last week with part 1, where we talked about the sway bar and really the most common asked question about to disconnect or to not disconnect your sway bars when you go trail riding. So this was something we really talked about last week because the question of when do you want to disconnect your sway bar? Well, the answer to that question is anytime you go on a trail. So we talked about whether it be a beginner trail, whether it be sand, whether it be, easy. If you know you're going out for a trail for a day trail ride, yes, absolutely disconnect your sway bars. So we covered exactly what the sway bar does, why you want to disconnect it. So if you did not get part 1 with me last week, don't worry. It is right here. You can jump back in once we finish up, scroll down. I'll be sending an email out after we finish our class today. So I will include part 1 in there for you as well. So if you are new on here for Lady Jeepers, so excited. Hello, I am Kristin DeLibero from ladyjeepers.com. And I help Lady Jeepers, women who own Jeeps, to safely enjoy their Jeeps on the trail and customize and design their Jeep so that they can confidently create a life of adventure without fear. So we do that using our Confident Trail system, courses, in-person events, and private consults here at ladyjeepers.com. So as you're jumping on, let me know where you're watching from. I love to see where everyone is tuning in from. Believe it or not, I use that when I start to put together the rest of our 2024 in-person events. I still have some coming. So excited. So I use that to help decide where we're going to go across the country. So let me know where you're watching from. All right. So we already went through in our part 1 last week, understanding the sway bar. So we went over why you want to disconnect your sway bar, because ultimately you got to think about, it's important to understand what a sway bar does and its functionality, because it is a crucial component of your Jeep suspension system, and it is designed to keep your vehicle level during cornering, reducing your body roll. So when you are on road, you absolutely want your sway bar connected. That is for safety, for drivability. But, however, this sway bar is a vital component for maintaining stability on paved roads, interstates, high speeds. It can become a limiting factor when you venture off the beaten path, start to head off road, want to go out trail riding and have some fun. And that is where you want to absolutely disconnect your sway bar. So for today, we're on part 2. We're going to be going over disconnecting your sway bar. So we're going to talk about how to disconnect your sway bar, what you need, everything like that today. So we're going to be starting off with what tools? What are the tools that you need? And I'm actually going to be jumping over and I'm going to share our amazing Disconnecting Your Sway Bar book. We're going to dive right in there for a minute. Excuse me. We have had the crud in our house forever. Oh my gosh. So I do apologize if I am coughing today. So sorry, ladies. All right. So we're going to jump in. What tools do you need to disconnect your sway bar? All right. So first of all, what tools are you going to need? Now, if you have a Rubicon, you get to cheat because you have an amazing button that you get to push to disconnect your sway bar. So remember, if you have a Rubicon, because we're talking about sway bars, it is still always good to know how to manually disconnect and reconnect your sway bars in case you ever have an issue with the electronic disconnect going out. Or if you're out on a trail ride and someone needs help, you'll know how to help disconnect their sway bar. So first of all, the tools that you are going to need. This is again to manually disconnect your sway bar. So you're going to need a ratcheting drive and you're going to need sockets. So the 18 millimeter is kind of the go-to magic wrench and socket number when we're talking about disconnecting sway bars. But if you have an older generation Jeep, you absolutely need to go look and check the nuts and bolts that are on that sway bar link that you're going to have to disconnect, because depending on if somebody replaced those over time, if they're still stock, you're going to need to know exactly what tools you need to disconnect your Jeep. So make sure you have a ratcheting drive and make sure you have the correct size socket. When we're talking about Jeeps, 17, 18, 19 millimeter is kind of your magic go-to number to always have in your tool bag in your Jeep. So then you're also going to need a closed end wrench. So they have the open end wrench, that has the hole in the middle. Your closed end is an actual circle, closed end, no opening, needs to be the same size as the socket. So again, 17, 18, 19 millimeters. Those are your great sizes to keep in your Jeep tool bag in your Jeep. Then I recommend IM Safety Patrol. Make sure to have a wheel chock so that you can chock the tire. So that just adds more safety when you know you're going to be getting underneath your Jeep to disconnect your sway bar link. So anytime you're working around your Jeep, underneath your Jeep, It is just safety first. Make sure to have a wheel chock. Go ahead. I recommend having 2 wheel chocks. So if you're underneath the front of your Jeep, you can put a wheel chock behind and in front of a rear tire just for added help while you're going to be outside of the vehicle working on your vehicle. Because remember, safety first. Again, big safety patrol here. Okay. Then I recommend having a mat or a shower curtain. If you haven't gone over and checked out ladyjeepers.us, our Lady Jeepers store, we actually have a yoga mat with our Lady Jeepers logo on it that is perfect for disconnecting your sway bar. That's actually why we have it in there. So if you need a mat to disconnect your sway bar, jump over and check it out. Represent Lady Jeepers. But any yoga mat, any mat, even a shower curtain, something as a barrier between the ground and yourself. Because especially if you're out trail riding, it's wet, it's rained, it's sandy, whatever it may be. It is nice to have some sort of barrier of protection between you and the ground. Oops. Then I recommend WD-40 if you have never disconnected your sway bar before. Then a breaker bar. Excuse me. So again, if you've never disconnected your sway bar before, a breaker bar is a great tool to have. Basically, it's just a long bar. It will fit your socket onto it. Make sure they fit and they're the right size and are compatible. That way, if you ever had an issue, you can't get the nut and bolt loose. The breaker bar just gives you more leverage because of the length. They do make ratcheting wrenches, like the actual ratchet that you can buy that will extend. So you can get, it's not going to hold up as long as like a true breaker bar. But if you just need a little bit of extra leverage, you can actually let the end out and it will get longer. And then you can go ahead and close it. That is always an option as well, just to make it a little bit easier when you are disconnecting your sway bar. All right, so now we know what you need. So now that you have all the tools you need, we're going to jump in and go over how to disconnect your sway bar. Before I do that, are there any questions about the tools before I just jump into how we're going to use those tools and how to disconnect our sway bar? Oh, we got Florida in the house. Oh no, Shay said her fiance just came home sick. I feel like everyone this time of year has kind of been like Chad has been sick forever. So I'm sure that's why I get better and I feel like it comes back. And then I don't know. It's just been here for a while. Jody, great. Harbor Freight sells wheel chocks. I'm going to show that really. Harbor Freight sells wheel chocks for cheap. She got 2 for $4.99. So wheel chocks are very inexpensive. You can get them at so many different places. And again, it's just nice to always have those in your vehicle so that if you know you're outside of it, if it broke, if you're going to do any kind of work, little added safety. Again, all about safety, safety patrol. All right. Oh, Shay said she loves the mat. Yes, we came up with that because I was like, all right, we need a great mat, yoga mat for disconnecting your sway bars. And of course, it's a Lady Jeeper one. So it's perfect for if you come to any of our in-person live events or if you just want one to pull out to be able to disconnect your sway bars. So if you're not familiar, our shop store is ladyjeepers.us. You can always jump over to ladyjeepers.com. That is our main website where we have everything that you need to know about coming up, and it will take you to the store as well. So always head over to ladyjeepers.com if you're looking for anything more information, want to see what we have going on. It's all available there. All right. So now we're going to dive into how to disconnect your sway bar. Since I don't see any questions about actually getting the tools or questions on the tools, we're going to jump into, let's assume you all have your tools now. So how do we use those? How are we going to disconnect our sway bar? That is what we're going to jump into right now. Hey, Kristin DeLibra from LadyJeepers.com. Today we're going to be focusing on disconnecting and reconnecting your sway bar on your Jeep. You want to make sure you have the correct tools that you are going to need. You're going to need a closed-end wrench, a ratchet drive with a socket, a breaker bar if you have not disconnected your sway bars before, and some zip ties. The most common size for your socket and your closed-end wrench for disconnecting sway bars is an 18 millimeter, but make sure that you go check for yourself, figure out what size nut and bolt you have in case it is something different. The older Jeeps may require a torque wrench or a star key depending on what nuts and bolts they actually have to hold that sway bar together. So closed end wrench, a drive, ratcheting drive with a socket, a breaker bar, and some zip ties. Let's get started.
Make sure you turn your tire to make it easier to get inside the wheel well. So you will open up your wheel well by turning your tire so it's easier for you to reach in there and reach your sway bar links.
Remember, if you have a stock full width bumper, you will be sitting on the ground to reach in for safety. You want to locate where your sway bar link is. And you're going to notice you have your bolt and your nut that are connecting that sway bar link. So this is going to be your sway bar link. These are going to be the bolt and the nut that we are going to remove to disconnect your sway bar link. You'll put your ratchet on. You'll put your wrench on. So you just continue to loosen until that nut and bolt are completely loose. Once the nut has come off, you just pull out your bolt, making sure you watch for the washer. Now your sway bar link is free. You're going to pull the sway bar link up to the top of your sway bar. This is where you will add your zip ties. Once you've finished, you want to make sure you zip tie up that sway bar link. If you have an aftermarket quick disconnect, you will actually get a bracket up in your fender well where you can hook that sway bar link up once you have disconnected it. If you have a stock sway bar link, you will go ahead and make sure to just zip tie it to your sway bar. All right. So I know that was kind of quick, but again, I try to keep everything super short, concise. One thing I did not talk about on the video when we were talking about actually disconnecting your sway bar. As you saw, I reach in to disconnect. I know I talked about it a little bit, but I always recommend sit on your butt, reach in. If you open your tire, so like if you're sitting, turn the tire the direction. So say you're on the driver's side, turn the wheel, open the tire so you have more room in there. And then you'll do the same thing for the other side. But I recommend sitting to reach in. Yes, it can be a little bit harder to do it that way, but there's a couple reasons why I recommend doing it that way. One, I do not recommend laying down and holding tools above your head. Again, safety patrol, right? So I don't recommend that for that reason. Another reason, too, for me personally, I am stronger if I can be moving my arms from my shoulder. I'm not as physically strong if I'm reaching above my head. So that is another reason I recommend for safety and then also for strength and use and being able to disconnect to sit on your booty and reach in to do it. Another reason, my strength is in my legs. I don't have a whole ton of arm strength, right? Most of my strength comes from my legs. So if I can't get that to break loose, I can actually, if I'm sitting on the ground, I can use my foot to push to help to break loose to get that nut and bolt moving. So instead of trying to do it all with my arms, if I'm sitting on the ground on my booty and I reach in and I can't get it, it makes it easier for me to actually take my foot and push my foot against my wrench or my ratcheting wrench or breaker bar to be able to use my leg strength to do it instead of trying to do it all with my arm strength. So if you're like me, if you're I know we're all a little different, but if you're like me and you feel like you might have more strength in your legs, than in your arms, that is a great way to do it. So if you need to, you can break everything loose with your foot. And Jody, I know she said that poor Chad had to break her sway bar loose the first time because, yes, it can be tough to get it broken loose the first time. That is why I recommend having a breaker bar, some WD-40 if you have never disconnected those sway bar bolts. And again, try using your foot. We actually talk about this in how to change your tire off road as well, that sometimes it's easier for us as ladies instead of trying to pull and push on a four-way or on a breaker bar. Sometimes it's easier for us to take our foot and step on it to actually break lug nuts loose. So there are so many times that when we are doing the mechanical side or doing things with our Jeep, it makes it easier for us to utilize where a lot of our strength and power is. And again, I know like for me, a lot of mine is in my legs, my hips. I can use my butt a little bit, so it's easier than trying to just use my arm strength to break things loose. So always keep that in mind. We're always trying to find the safest, easiest way to be doing something. So for today, we just talked about disconnecting our sway bar. Last week, we went in depth. We talked about why we disconnect our sway bar and what a sway bar does. Today, we went in depth on how to disconnect our sway bar. So I know I shared with you last week as well, but if you are interested, I'm all about directions and getting help. I like having everything organized. That is just kind of me. So if you are interested, I did put together a easy to follow directional card on how to disconnect your sway bar, just like what we went through today, step by step, talking about what you need to do, how to disconnect your sway bar. So if you're interested and you would like that, drop hashtag sway bar in the comments. I will personally reach out and I will shoot you that directional card that I put together just for you. Again, I like directions. I'm all about directions, making things easy. So I love having everything written down. So let's see. Oh, great question. All right. So, really quickly, don't forget every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we jump right back on here for Cup of Coffee with Kristin. So, that means next week is part 3, and we are going to be jumping into reconnecting your sway bar. So, how to reconnect your sway bar, but also some tips and tricks because sometimes reconnecting the sway bar can be difficult to get everything lined up. So we're going to go into how to reconnect your sway bar, but tips and tricks in case it may be a little difficult to get everything lined back up. There are some ways to make it easier. So that is what we're going to dive into for next week with Cup of Coffee with Kristin. So I am back every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to be diving into, I have a whole bunch of amazing new Jeep knowledge we're diving into because I try to stay like we've been doing one super specific category topic that we can dive into in 30 minutes together every Wednesday while we're enjoying caffeine and Jeep break together. So don't forget to mark your calendar. And again, let me know if you want the directional card on how to disconnect your sway bars. Drop hashtag sway bar in the comment. I will get that sent to you. If you are like me, I love having things in my hand. Like it is great to have everything on our phones, but I enjoy being able to have something in my hand that I can look at to specifically follow step-by-step instructions. That is why I've done that for so much that we have. I'm all about checklists, directions, everything like that. So let's see. Oh, wrong one. Pat, what is the best way to stash the bolts? So I recommend once you have disconnected the nut and the bolt, screw the nut back on the bolt. That way they are together, they're connected. You know that when you grab the bolt, you have not lost the nut and the washer that go with it. So I always recommend once you disconnect it, thread those back together. Now it's one piece. I stick mine in my glove box just because I know exactly where to go. It goes there every time. You can use your center console, but I recommend putting it somewhere safe while you are trail riding so it is easy to find it when you are ready to reconnect. And then again, I especially recommend make sure to put those back together because it is a lot easier to misplace just the washer or just the nut. Whereas the minute you get it apart, if you screw those back on, put it in your glove box, center console, wherever your kind of safe storage space is going to be. And then you know that all you have to do is grab that big bolt out. Everything is there when you go back to reconnect. So that is, I know we're all a little different, but that is my recommendation. Make it easy, thread it back on, put it somewhere you know it's going to be easy to get to, glove box, center console. Then it'll be there waiting for you when you are ready to reconnect after an amazing trail ride. So mark your calendar next Wednesday, put a reminder on your phone. We'll be jumping back on right here, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to be diving into part 3, talking about sway bars. And we're going to go into how to reconnect your sway bars, tips and tricks to make it easy, especially when things don't want to line up quite right. Then go ahead. You can put it as a reminder, like every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time to jump on here because every week we'll be jumping on for one super specific topic we're going to dive into that's Jeep related. And I have a lot of new, awesome, good ones rolling your way. So excited. Couple things. If you didn't know, we have the holiday party coming up. It is this Sunday, the 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here. If you have any questions, go to the Facebook page, just our regular ladyjeepers.com Facebook page. There is an event set up in there for the holiday party, has all the directions on how to get your bingo card, how to play bingo. So if you have not been on the holiday party with us before, you're not quite familiar with how to play bingo online, don't worry, we help walk you through it. But if you jump over, all the information is right there in the event as well. And it's going to give you step-by-step directions, how to go grab your bingo cards, how to play bingo. So you are all ready to jump on Sunday. So excited. This is my favorite party that we do of the year. We have some awesome hangout times on here together and I love it. But the holiday party is one of my favorites because we play bingo, we hang out, we chat, we have prizes, we do giveaways. This is kind of our way of celebrating the holidays together. So come in pajamas and hang out and just have a great time with us. Another big announcement is if you are on our email list, make sure every Monday morning, check your emails. We are rolling something out. So excited about every Monday morning. There's going to be a new surprise special waiting for you amazing ladies. If you're not on our email list, jump over ladyjeepers.com. Just scroll the bottom, sign up for our newsletter. That way you don't miss anything. Because we already have the whole first quarter of the year planned out, and there are some awesome new goodness that's going to be driving your way. And we're trying to just make every Monday an exciting Monday so that hopefully it kicks off the week and it's even more fun. Then Wednesday for your midweek slump, get to jump on here with me. We get to have some caffeine, talk some Jeeps, help break through that midweek slump together as well. So lots and lots of goodness is coming and is here from Lady Jeepers. So thank you for spending some time with me today. Again, set reminders every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, right here. We're going to be enjoying a cup of coffee and getting our Jeep knowledge and Jeep fix on together. And I hope to see you on Sunday, the 10th, 7 p.m. right here. If you can't be here for the whole holiday party, that is fine. Jump on when you can. I would love for you to join us. And it is so much fun. I love hanging out. So have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday, ladies. And I will see you right back here next Wednesday for part 3 of Sway Bars, where we're going to dive into reconnecting your sway bar. So have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for jumping on here with me. And I hope to see you this weekend for the holiday party. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.